Hi, everybody. Welcome to our new releases show, March edition. My name is Devon. I work at the Worcester Public Library. And as always, I'm here with my co-host and coworker, Joy. How you doing today, Joy?
Well, I had my COVID shot, my first one, on my birthday. So you can decide for yourself. I know. You can decide for yourself whether that makes for a good birthday or not.
I've already decided.
Yeah.
Okay, so since everything that we're talking about today is brand new this month, you can put a hold or maybe get a copy of one of the print ones if it's already come out, because we're doing this on the weekend and it's already been a few days in March. I'm not sure when the digital copies, like the ebooks and the audiobooks for download, are going to be available, but keep your eyes peeled and you can definitely get a hold on the print copies. So I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see the cool books that are coming out this month. All right, and as usual, I'll be focusing on the fiction and Joy will do the nonfiction. All right, so for our first pick, this one just came out on March 2nd, Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. And here's where I make my secret confession that I'm a bad librarian because I've never read Kazuo Ishiguro before.
Which is outrageous.
It is.
Never Let Me Go is one of the best books ever, a true genre bender. So all of you out there, including Devon, if you haven't read that one, at least read it.
Yeah, and this one sounds really good. This one might be the one that's going to tip me over the edge. So if you didn't know, Ishiguro won the Nobel Prize in Literature back in 2017, at which time the Nobel Committee described his books as novels of great emotional force, and they said that he has uncovered the abyss beneath our illusory sense of connection with the world. And it sounds like he's continuing with that theme in this title. From her place in the store that sells artificial friends, Clara, an artificial children's companion with outstanding observational qualities, watches carefully the behavior of those who come in to browse and of those who pass on the street outside. She remains hopeful a customer will soon choose her, but when the possibility emerges that her circumstances may change forever, she is warned not to invest too much in the promises of humans. In his luminous eighth novel, Ishiguro looks at our rapidly changing modern world through the eyes of an unforgettable narrator to explore the question of what it means to love. Obviously, this book has some science fiction aspects. Clara is solar-powered, but also feels emotions. Some reviewers say she speaks in prose poetry. And in this slightly futuristic world, children have their genes edited to get higher IQs, if their parents can afford it. This book got starred reviews from Publishers Weekly and Kirkus. The Los Angeles Times called the book a subtle meditation on whether our species will be able to live with everything it's created. They said it's a feverish read, a one-sitter. So this book sounds really good to me. I like the slightly futuristic aspect. And from what I've read of the reviews, some creepy things happen, which I tend to enjoy. So yeah, get your name on the hold list and try out Kazuo. Here's one from Joy.
Well, I certainly will put that one on hold. So my next choice for this month is Barbazon, the hotel that set women free by Paulina Bren. Anyone who has read poet Sylvia Plath's fictionalized memoir, The Bell Jar, is familiar with the Barbazon Hotel. In Plath's work, the hotel is called the Amazon, and it is the place where she stayed during her ill-fated summer in New York and where she began the downward spiral that almost ended in her death. But Plath is far from the only well-known women to pass through the doors of the Barbazon. Built in 1927 at the height of the Roaring Twenties, the women-only residential hotel served as a safe haven for a host of young women who, liberated from hearth and home, arrived to take their places among the dazzling skyscrapers of New York. ready to work, ready to vote, ready to create. Over the years, the Barbazon's 700 tiny rooms with matching floral print curtains and bedspreads housed writers, actors, models, and celebrities, including Grace Kelly, Liza Minnelli, Joan Crawford, Joan Didion, Sybil Shepherd, Felicia Rashad, Gail Green, and many others. In the words of the Amazon reviewer, before they were household names, the hotel's residents were young women who arrived at the Barbazon with a suitcase and a dream. This book earned starred reviews from Booklist and LJ, raves from Kirkus and PW. And author Megan Dong says, even if you can't move into the Barbazon, reading this book will make you feel like you've lived there for years and you'll never want to move out.
Judging by that picture, I don't think I'd want to move out if I lived there.
They're having such a wonderful time.
They are, pink champagne and snacks every night.
Yeah.
All right, here's my next fiction choice. Infinite Country by Patricia Engel. This one also just came out on March 2nd. I am not familiar with Engel, so I realized that she's an award-winning, internationally acclaimed author, a dual citizen, and the daughter of Colombian immigrants. This newest book of hers has been named a most anticipated book of 2021 by Esquire, the Oprah Magazine, the New York Post, The Millions, Refinery 29, BuzzFeed, and a ton of other review publications. In the book, 15-year-old Talia is in a Colombian correctional facility for girls. She needs to get out and get back home, where her father and a plane ticket to the US are waiting. If she misses her flight, she might also miss reuniting with her family. How her family came to occupy two different countries comes into focus like twists of a kaleidoscope. We see Talia's parents fall in love as teenagers against a backdrop of civil war and social unrest. We see them leave with their firstborn in pursuit of opportunity in the US on a temporary visa. And we see the births of two more children, Nando and Talia, in America. We witness the decisions that lead to the family's splintering and how they've been living since. Rich with urban life, steeped in Andean myth, and tense with the reality of the undocumented in America. This is the story of two countries and one mixed status family. This book has a plot that stretches over 20 years, and the narrators change from different family members. It got starred reviews from Kirkus, Booklist, and Publishers Weekly. Booklist said, "The line, it was her idea to tie up the nun," launches the narrative. That's a great first line. It launches the narrative with the force of a cannon. The immigrant story might be well-traveled ground, but Engel constructs a layered narrative outlining how every seemingly minor choice cements into a crushing predicament. Told by a chorus of voices and perspectives, this is as much an all-American story as it is a global one. So I'm really impressed that this book is already being considered to be one of the best novels of this year, and it's just March. I also think the mix of Andean myth along with an urban lifestyle would be a fun thing to read about, despite the tough situations that the characters are in. So if you're interested in giving this one a try, make sure to get yourself on the wait list. Here's one from Joy.
For that opening line alone, I'll put it on the whole list.
Yeah, definitely.
So my next choice is kind of right up my alley. You know how I love true crime. And it is Last Call, a true story of love, lust, and murder in queer New York by Elon Green. At the Townhouse Bar in Midtown Manhattan in July of 1992, the piano players seemed to know every song ever written. The crowd belted out the lyrics of their favorites, and an inconspicuous patron nursing a scotch and water nearby has set his sights on his next victim, who is not his first, nor will he be his last. The man is bland and forgettable, not at all what you'd expect a serial killer to look like, but that is exactly what he is. The last call killer preyed on gay men in New York through the 1980s and 1990s. But few, even among true crime aficionados like me, have heard of him. Why? Author Green maintains that because of the sexuality of the victims, the sky-high murder rate that plagued New York at that time, and the AIDS epidemic, these particular crimes have been almost entirely forgotten. Until now. Last Call is a gripping true crime narrative that tells the story of a killer and the decades-long chase to find him. But it is also a portrait of a vibrant, resilient gay community in a particular time and place. And Devon, I've had this one on hold for months. So,
somehow I'm not surprised.
That's me.
Okay, and here's my next fiction book. Raft of Stars by Andrew J. McGrath. This one comes out later, towards the end of the month. The book is described as reminiscent of Stand By Me, which I think is fascinating. That's such an iconic story. I've seen the movie a million times. This story, though, is set in the summer of 1994 in Claypot, Wisconsin. And the lives of 10-year-old Fish Branson and Dale Bredwin are shaped by the two fathers they don't talk about. One night, tired of seeing his friend bruised and terrorized by his alcoholic dad, Fish takes action. A gunshot rings out, and the two boys flee the scene, believing themselves murderers. They head for the woods and build a raft, but the natural terrors of Iron's Forge Gorge threaten to overwhelm them. 4 adults track them into the forest. Fish's mother, Miranda, a woman full of faith, who's not above swearing. His granddad, Teddy, a war veteran who knows the woods like the back of his hand. Tiffany, a purple-haired gas station attendant who has feelings for the sheriff. And Sheriff Cal, who moved from Texas and doesn't want to be a sheriff anymore. This is a story of loss, hope, and adventure that runs like a river amid the landscape of the upper Midwest. Reviewers say the plot of this book is earnest, good-hearted, and unironic in the best way, that it's a page-turner with the river acting as a plot device and a metaphor. The wilderness of the northern Wisconsin area is both beautifully rendered and unforgiving. And the book got a starred review from Library Journal. Author Richard Russo had a lot of good things to say about it. He's the author of Empire Falls. He said, "I had no idea people wrote books like this anymore. A rousing adventure yarn full of danger, heart, humor, and characters worth worrying about. It's as if, after observing the deplorable state we're in right now, the author decided to raise our collective spirits. Bravo." So again, the Stand By Me comparison is really attracting me to this book. I like that it has an uplifting feeling, even though there's a lot of danger and adventure from what I've been reading in the reviews. So this sounds like another good one to get on your to be read list. And here's another from Joy.
Well, my final choice for this month is Codebreaker, Jennifer Doudna, Gene Editing and the Future of the Human Race by Walter Isaacson, the incomparable science writer and biographer, Walter Isaacson. When Jennifer Doudna was in 6th grade, she came home from school one day to find that her father had left a paperback book titled The Double Helix on her bed. She put it aside thinking that it was one of those detective tales she loved. She'd get to it eventually. Well, she did. Doudna became a scientist, despite being told by her high school counselor that she couldn't. And now she and her collaborators have won a Nobel Prize for an invention that may transform the human race. an easy to use, well, relatively speaking, tool called CRISPR that can edit DNA. The past half century has been a digital age based on the microchip, computer, and the internet. Now we are in the midst of a life science revolution, and the children who now study digital coding will be joined by those who study genetic code. Imagine the implications. Very recently, a study showed that CRISPR reduced high cholesterol levels in mice by 57%. Could CRISPR and related technologies likely to follow prevent certain cancers, slow the aging process, decrease the incidence of obesity or addiction? What about curing depression? Or how about turning brown eyes blue? Or enabling affluent families to design perfectly healthy babies with sky-high IQ? Whoa, were you listening? Shades of Ishiguro. Clearly, for all of its potential, the ethical implications of this revolutionary new development are huge. Fortunately, individuals with minds far better than mine, even without genetic tinkering, among them Doudna herself, are aware of these issues and are wrestling with them. All of this is both exciting and just a bit scary. I, for one, am looking forward to watching the future with all of its challenges and opportunities unfold.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's scary and it's exciting. So we'll just have to see how this all turns out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that brings us to the end of our show for new releases. Don't forget to come back on the third weekend of the month when Joy and I will be talking about our staff picks for March. And don't forget to give us some likes and loves if you enjoy our show, and share this with all your friends who enjoy book reviews. Otherwise, we hope to see you next time.
See you later, fellow readers.